Have a listen to this. Have a listen to this.
Interest rates are higher. I know people don't like that, but you should be welcoming the stronger economy.
Maybe a deal has a point about the machinery of capitalism being oiled with the blood of the
The
worker.
United States is a country that has always paid all of its bills.
Lannister always pays his debts.
Don't let the bastards get you.
Hello and welcome to Comedian versus Economist. We demystify the world of money and help you get a handle on the bigger picture. My name's Adam and we're joined as always by my little older brother and real life economist, Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
Yeah, g'day, Adam. How you going?
Good, thank you. Thomas, back for season 27 or something like that of CVE. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. And thank you for choosing to spend your time to try out our little podcast. If you're a long-time listener, then welcome back to you. Thank you for your patience during the break. Thomas and I did have a little bit of time off, but now we're back and raring to get into it. Thomas, how was your break? Fruitful?
Yeah, it was good. It was productive.
Fix inflation?
Yeah, right. You seen the data?
No.
Took care of that. Yeah. No, good. I had a little side hustle. Did a little sprint at, so yeah, push that along. So watch this space.
Tasty. Me too, actually. I'm going to tell you a bit more about it today.
Uh-huh.
I suspect our side hustles may be quite different.
Ah, right. Is yours organic soap? No.
Close, very close. Yeah. Well, mine was good too. I had a good break. I went to Darwin. Yeah, that was fun. Saw some jumping crocodiles. Or as I learned, they're not jumping crocodiles, they're vertical swimming crocodiles.
Oh.
Technically, they swim vertically. They don't jump, if you think about it, which is true, but I felt
Tomato, like...
Yeah. I don't know that anyone's renaming the spectacular jumping crocodile cruise to the spectacular vertical swimming crocodiles, but we'll see. And the FIFA Women's World Cup, of course, the Matildas. How good was that?
Wasn't that a cracker?
We didn't have the Matildas play in Adelaide, so we did go and see Morocco play South Korea, and we went all in Morocco. We had flags, signs, the whole works. And look, I think I don't want to say that we were wholly and solely responsible, but at least in part for Morocco's first ever goal and their first ever win at the World Cup.
No.
The kids enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed the whole World Cup. It was amazing. But Thomas, massive show coming up as always. In fact, slightly more massive than previously in response to popular demand. But massive show coming up. Thomas, the results are in of our family wager that we had to see who would be first to be quoted by the AFR. Spoiler alert, it's not Mum. We'll check in on China and ask, are you okay? Are you okay Day, September 14th, by the way. We'll see how China's doing. Legalized marijuana dealers in the States have been forced to go cash only after they were blocked by Visa. The one customer rocking a Visa card was reportedly quite chill about the decision. In what could be a new segment for the show, what's AI ruining now? This time, mushrooms and possibly people. And could there be money in human tears? And if so, is it the end of society as we know it? But first, Thomas, it wouldn't be an episode of CVE without talking inflation, rates, and wages, the triple threat of economics. What have you got for us?
Yeah, well, over the break, I mean, the narrative was that we needed to stomp on inflation, get it under control. Rates we had the most epic rate hike cycle in history. That was all needed because rates were on a breakaway, wages were on a breakaway, and then it's all just fallen in a heap. We got the inflation for July last month came in at 4.9%. Well, that was down from expected 5.2%, so that's falling very quickly. Right. The monthly data is falling much faster than expected. You also got the wage price index. So the big fear was always we're going to get this wage price spiral, that people were going to get this unreasonable expectation that their wages should keep pace with inflation and their purchasing power shouldn't fall. So everyone's talking hard about why workers shouldn't do that. And workers listened to them, and we got a wage growth of the wage price index of 3.6% in the June quarter, which was weaker than expected and is really a nothing burger. Like, wages could get up to 4.5% before they're taking inflation out of the target, sort of the way the maths works out.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure from wages into inflation.
Right.
And zero evidence of a wage price spiral. Wages break out in the data yet, but we've been talking to businesses. We have a liaison program where we go out and do lunch, and they're telling us...
I'm picturing just one of those things like they have at the servo. Like, how was your experience? You just have to whack on like a little smiley face or a frowny face. Just have lunch, have this big fancy lunch at a nice restaurant, silver service, and then on the way out, how do you feel like we're going, by the way? Good.
Yeah, no, so they said they've been asking businesses about wages, what their wages outlook, and they got a lot of angry faces. Yeah, and they were saying, with like based on liaison, we expect inflation to wages to launch above 4%, 4 or 5%. It didn't happen, and so it's a bit like, I don't know. To me, it's a little bit weak. Like you were talking down workers getting a pay rise because inflation is going to lead into inflation. It just didn't happen. And so now real wages, so deflating wages by inflation, it's gone off a cliff, and we're back to 2010 levels. So your people's purchasing power is back to where it was in 2010.
Right. Was it good in 2010? Sorry, I'm just slightly distracted by the panpipes that are going off in the back. I'm glad that after a break of CVE for a little while, you might have thought we were off building a studio that had soundproofing and other modern mod cons. But no, this week's distraction, some flutes.
Oh, it's recorders. We're in the recorder phase of education now. My little boy's homesick. The worst phase of education. Why is it? I don't want to go off topic here, but why is it that schools persist with recorders is it just to punish parents for something? Anyway, what does that mean for rates then? Well,
we're done. Right?
I think we're done. I think we've got to be done. Like there was talk about maybe one more, but like a bit embarrassing to be hiking now, I reckon, with inflation clearly coming off. Zero evidence of wages breaking out. I don't know.
Not one to shy away from embarrassing decisions, though. Phil Lowe, is he?
Phil's gone. That's the other thing.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Is the new?
You missed
we've
that?
got the new governor.
Yeah. Michelle.
I knew he was going. I thought he was going in September, which I know it's the 4th of September. I would have just pegged it late September.
Definitely, he's in the handover phase. If not,
we are taking a slightly more lightweight research approach to CV at the moment. So perhaps we should confirm whether the RBA governor is still employed or not.
It'll be a matter of weeks. If not. It's definitely on the way out. He didn't get reappointed, and Michelle Bullock's been named the incoming governor.
Yeah, I know she was named, but I didn't know the transition, the handover had happened.
Yeah. He has to show around the office, show where all the filings kept.
Here's the coffee, the cafe, the tea and coffee making facilities. All right, Thomas, you owe me $50. Remember our bet that we had to see who would be the first one to be quoted by the AFR, the Australian Financial Review? You lose, sucker. It was me. I was the one. There was a article over the break that quoted directly yours truly. I'll give you the story. So just like you, I was busy over the break, and I can reveal that I am the person responsible for the most viral thing since COVID, Twitter account, which is at @TrackMyBrown. I set up this account in June, and what I'm doing with it is something very simple. I'm tracking Nathan Brown's same game multis on Sportsbet. Right, and it's not because I'm an avid punter, although I have had a punt in the past. It's because I think they are a complete sham, and
maybe some listeners don't know what that is.
So pick a game of footy, right? Any team, doesn't matter. Maybe you want to place a bet on multiple markets that are available in that game. So maybe you want to back the first goal scorer. Someone to get perhaps 25 disposals. Someone else to kick 2 or more goals. And all of those markets have a price. And usually they're fairly low. They're, $1.20 for I don't know, Jack Riewoldt for Richmond to kick 2 goals, right? He's a full forward for Richmond. So it's the likely thing to happen. Maybe you get odds of $1.20. So that's not the most attractive odds. So what Sportsbet suggests you do, and other bookies, is they encourage you to multiply those odds together. So to take that one, combine it with someone else, maybe Dustin Martin to get 30 disposals, and maybe the Richmond Tigers to win the game. And you put all those 3 markets together, and all of a sudden, hey, presto, you've got combined odds of, I don't know, $3 instead of the $1.20.
Oh, okay. From
a misspent 20s betting on things, and then looking at spending way too much time looking at how to win and using arbitrage and other things to try and maximize the chances of winning. And then, Thomas, you'll be happy to know, spending a bit of time learning about expected value and some statistics, that combining those things together is actually greatly reducing your chances of success. It's not increasing at all. But what it does is it makes it seem like the person's getting better odds. So what you're really doing is you're taking the edge that the bookmaker already has against you, and you are then compounding that edge, a bit like interest rates, or a bit like compounding your investments or compounding your losses, maybe more to the point. So what they do is they wheel out Brownie, who was an ex-footy player, and he's actually the brand ambassador. This is his role. He was formerly the ambassador to Ecuador, but he couldn't secure Julian Assange's release. So he's taken up a less senior role as ambassador to punters. So what they do is they wheel him out before each and every game. And I was a bit fascinated by this. I'm like, this is a recipe for losing money. And they get to trot him out before each game. The AFL seemed quite supportive of this endeavour. And I thought, I wonder how he goes. And I realised...
So he gives people tips on the same multi, does he?
He
says,
goes,
you should do this.
Yeah, put this one, this one, and this one together. You'll get $5 odds. Hey, for $20, you win $100. And I was always fascinated at how it worked out, what his results were like. So, but then I realised you couldn't find them anywhere, because what happens is they put this footage up, and it's all over socials and other places. But as soon as the thing's been run, as soon as the game's been played, you can't find it anywhere. You can't find the results. You can't find the odds. So I thought, I'm going to do a community service here, and I'm going to start an account where I'm going to track and just see how the odds go. How do you reckon he went, Thomas? If you were to put on a bet every game using, say, 3 or more markets in a multi, how do you reckon he goes, percentage-wise?
Bit worse than a coin toss? I don't know.
Bit worse than a coin, yeah, 20%. So 20%, with less than 20% of the time. So that's after tracking 84 matches.
Wow.
84 matches, winning less than 20% of the time. And I was using hypothetical stakes of $20 per multi just to kind of make it a bit more real. So if you were to bet $20 on each of those 84 matches, you would be minus $569 at the moment. And so I started this account just for a bit of fun, for a bit of kind of, a bit of education as much as anything, just to try and show people, look, this is not a good way to make money. This is what bookies want you to do. They want you to use the multis. They'd much rather you did this than put $20 on Richmond winning the game outright as a head-to-head market, because it's very hard to know what the edge is in these markets. So I did this, and then lo and behold, one day I get tagged by a guy called Mark DiStefano, who's a journalist at the AFR, who's then written an entire article calling out Sportsbet, calling out the AFL for the really tight relationship that they seem to have. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, Thomas? I'll track my Brown in the AFR.
There we go. That's great. No, it's good to see that economics degree paying off for you. But so they're just normalizing gambling, right? By having this guy at the front of this is televised match, right? So it's like kids watching it. Yeah.
Well, and in fact, Mark called that out in his article. He's like, you sit down with your 9-year-old, son or daughter to watch the footy, and the first thing you have to sit through is Brownie dishing off his odds for the same game multi. Well, back in my day, we only used to have head-to-head markets. Yeah, I've read a few times now that Australia's got a gambling problem. Australia spends more per capita on gambling than I think just about any other country in the world. Although now the US has legalized it, so stay tuned. Because I reckon they're going to get pretty keen now that you can bet outside of Vegas. But there you go, Thomas. So I win, you win, you owe me $50. Yeah,
Fight the good fight.
Fight the good fight. If you or someone you know needs support with gambling, you can call the Gambling Helpline on 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelpline.org.au. Thomas, China, what's going on?
Yeah, this is a story that's sort of leaping at the moment the financial papers into the mainstream press. I saw ABC do an article on this the other day. So just worried about Chinese economy looking a bit wobbly. So they had a problem with the youth unemployment rate was lifting rapidly, got up to 21%. So more than 1 in 5 Chinese under 24 are unemployed. So you know what the Chinese government did?
No.
They stopped publishing it.
Obviously.
So we're going to stop publishing that one.
Can't have a problem with some data that doesn't exist, can you?
Yeah. So and this is the thing that this isn't the first. They had the same story with consumer confidence. So everyone was looking at the consumer confidence data because the big thing is like the Chinese real estate has been the driver of the Chinese economy for quite a long time. So apparently, it's the biggest asset class in the world, Chinese real estate, that basket. And it's tanking. Sales are tanking. Prices are falling. Prices are controlled by the government, and even then, they're falling. And there's a whole bunch of developers that are going bust, that are missing bond payments. So everything looks like it's falling over. So then they're looking at the consumers. Well, can the consumers take up the slack, and can consumers drive the economy? And so they look at the consumer confidence data, and it's like, ooh, they're not looking happy. That's not looking good. And then the Chinese government are like, actually, we're canning the consumer confidence data too.
Can we get the weather? Can you give us the 7-day forecast? Oh, look, we'll tell you what's happening tomorrow. But beyond that, no.
Yeah. So things are looking a bit shaky in China, and it's interesting. People like how important you think this is. Depends. Like one guy I follow says, it's not going to be a rerun of the GFC. China's not that systemically important, but it kind of is for Australia because a lot of our iron ore for the last 10 years has been going into the Chinese build out. That's rapidly coming to an end.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's going to have a bigger impact on Australia than it will on the US, for example. So it might not cause a global financial crisis, but it could make things a bit bumpy for us.
Right. What do we do?
Stop looking at it.
Someone else?
No, just stop looking at it.
Just stop looking at it. Stop publishing our iron ore export data for a start. Yeah. All right. Why don't we take a break there? We'll be back with more CVE right after this. Welcome back. You're on Comedian versus Economist. You can send us an email if you like, cve@equitymates.com, or find us on Facebook and Instagram @CVE Podcast. All right, Thomas, in a blow for legalized marijuana in the United States, MasterCard have banned purchasing weed with MasterCard. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
my dealer's going to be Devo. He just bought a Square reader and everything.
There'll be no more PayWave. It's an interesting one because even though buying weed and smoking weed, marijuana, we should call it.
Cannabis, we should call it.
Cannabis, okay.
Marijuana's a hooch. No, marijuana is a racial slur. It was invented in the 1920s to sort of demonize marijuana by making it sound Mexican.
Really?
Yeah, marijuana. That's why it's Mary Jane. That's the Spanish version of that. And it was used. It was promoted by the cotton industry to demonize marijuana because it was hemp was undermining cotton.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so we should use cannabis. Is the politically correct term?
Okay.
Or hooch.
I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
Or sticky icky. So even though it's legal in a lot of states in the US now, MasterCard are banning any cannabis vendors from allowing payment with MasterCard because at a federal level, marijuana is still illegal. And MasterCard are saying we need to operate within the federal laws.
Right.
But even though it's legal to buy it in your state, we would be falling foul of the federal laws. So if you walk into a shop to purchase a few fat ones, they can't take your card, which is going to be so confusing, which is not what like, weed smokers need. They need simple they need a simple payments process to make their purchases, I think. Like imagine walking into the shop just being like, what? Hang on, I've got my card, right? Yeah, but we can't buy it. Yeah, but it's legal here, right? Yes, it is legal. But I'm not allowed to use it because my card's illegal? Yes, that's correct. Your card is illegal. They did try and work around it with cashless ATMs, which I didn't know were a thing. Cashless ATMs in the States are a system like an ATM, but instead of getting money from the ATM, you put your card in, you put your PIN in, and then it prints you a docket, which you then take to the cashier at the front of the shop, and they give you cash.
Wow.
But in this case, what they did is you took your docket to the cashier at the front and they gave you like a 50 bag instead of cash. So
Wow.
But I think the thing that bothers me the most about this story is you can buy cryptocurrency with MasterCard. And so this is just going to be like you can pay for crypto with credit, as far as I understand. And so we're going to ban a legal sale of something like marijuana, cannabis, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Like it's illegal to it's legal to have it, and it's just going to push it towards cryptocurrency, right? We've just created utility for cryptocurrency, which then MasterCard and Visa are going to miss out on all the transaction fees. Because if it was me, I'd just go, well, I'll buy some Bitcoin, then go to my legal weed shop and use my Bitcoin to buy some cannabis. So I feel like they're just cutting themselves out of the market. I don't know. I guess when you're a multinational finance organization, maybe they're like, yeah, we're fine without the cannabis business.
And I mean, it is the big advantage of crypto is they just don't feel beholden to federal laws or any laws.
Right.
The only problem is by the time you get to the counter, your Bitcoin's halved in value.
Yes, it's halved in value. That's right. Yeah. Hang on, I said 50 bag. No, you're just getting a stick. Apparently, if you try and buy weed with a MasterCard now, it just makes a bong sound. And the transaction is declined. All right, Thomas, what is AI ruining now?
Yeah, it's about mushrooms. Well, mushrooms and people ingesting mushrooms. So the New York Mycelium Society has issued a warning saying that there's a whole bunch of AI-written mushroom books available to purchase on Amazon.
It's not just the New York Mycelium Society being alarmist again, is it? Any chance they get.
They get a bit paranoid when they start hanging out with the New York Cannabis Appreciation Society. They get a bit paranoid. No, because it's like, well, because mushrooms, you eat the wrong mushroom and you're dead. And AI isn't very good at helping people understand the difference between deadly and edible mushrooms.
Right.
People are publishing these mushroom books and actually selling them as field, like this one here, The Ultimate Mushroom Books, Field Guide of the Southwest, an essential guide to foraging edible and non-edible mushrooms outdoors and indoors.
Who's foraging mushrooms indoors?
Yeah.
Might be time to clean the carpets, I reckon, if you're inside foraging. It should be the first giveaway, right? That the book is probably not maybe written by a human when they're talking about foraging inside.
Foraging indoors, right? Like the author's fake. Well, the author's published 20 titles in the past 2 months. So either they're just banging them out or prolific. Yeah, or it's just some guy with ChatGPT. So the title's been written by ChatGPT. The book itself's been written by ChatGPT. The bio of the author also written by ChatGPT. So it's just all spun out. Like it's probably taken someone an hour to make. They're selling it on Amazon, and they're putting people in real risk of like just eating the wrong mushrooms and ending up dead. Yeah, no, it's serious business. You picked the wrong one. Like there's ones that look quite like the ones you're looking for. If you don't know the signs, you're going to end up in hospital.
All right, so what's the lesson here then?
I think one of the dangers of ChatGPT and AI that a few people are pointing to, I think is quite real, is that we just end up smothered in a wave of bullshit, of just junk content, really hard to distinguish actual information.
All right, Thomas, finally on the show this week, and could this be the next big thing in tech? A team of researchers in Singapore has come up with a tiny micrometer thin battery that can store energy from human tears.
What do you mean? Like they
made a battery that's powered by your sadness.
What about the chemical reaction of tears or something? You mean?
Yeah, I think so. They came up with some smart contact lenses, right? Because that's what the world needed. After the raging success that was Google Glass, after Google canned that, they've gone, no, we need smart contact lenses. But the barrier that they had to going full production with the smart contact lenses is that they didn't have a way to power them. So, because obviously they did do some closed testing with a small group of people hanging a battery off their eyeball. And the focus group said, no, we don't like that. We like the contact lens. It was just the battery hanging off my retina that really felt a bit clunky. So they've come up. They had the smart contact lenses, but they needed a way to power them. And so they came up with a new battery, and the new battery relies on glucose and water to generate electricity. So both of which are safe to humans in their eyeballs, and would also be less harmful to the environment when you get rid of them, is the big selling point. So we might be on the cusp of new battery technology.
Wow.
Powered by tears. I do feel like we're glossing over, though, the smart contact lens demand. Like they're saying the smart contact lenses are going to be like augmented reality type stuff. So it'll show you directions and things right on your eyeball. It does seem to go against what we're trying to do with our kids, which is to get them off of screens. They're more saying, how about, okay, let's get them off screens. What if instead we just like glue something to their eyes? So yeah, interesting thought. Interesting to think that that sadness and tears could be powering batteries. Could be the next form of. Is it renewable energy?
It's the next logical step for capitalism, really.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Having a baby was often seen as a big financial burden, and then we're in a cost of living crisis. And so what if that baby, instead of being a financial burden, could instead act as a store of electricity?
Just connected to the grid.
Connected to the grid. People could be, don't they? Even like countries like China, where they're trying to grow their population because they're worried that it's not growing fast enough. If babies could be seen instead of a burden, but as a productivity unit immediately, then maybe there's a future. Oh, what a gorgeous baby. What's his name? Oh, this is Tesla Powerwall. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to do us for this week on CVE. Really do appreciate listening to the show. It's good to be back. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. But for us, it is bye for now.
Comedian V Economist is a product of Equity Mates Media. All information in this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional finance, legal, or tax advice. The hosts of Comedian V Economist are not financial professionals and are not aware of your personal financial circumstances. Before making any financial decisions, you should read the product disclosure statement and, if necessary, consult a licensed financial professional. Do not take financial advice from a podcast. For more information, head to the disclaimer page on the Equity Mates website where you can find ASIC resources and find a registered financial professional near you. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media and the hosts of Comedian V Economist acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today.